Hey, what's going on there, YouTube? This is SEL0320 representing JVS. Alright, so I just came out of a screening for the first preview of the movie The Neon Demon. This is from the director Nicolas Winding Refn, who's directed great movies in Bronson and Drive, kind of lackluster movies such as Only God Forgives. So his track record is kind of up in the air. I even did like a reflection video where I was basically putting this movie at like maybe a C- that I was thinking it was going to be. I knew that the visual aesthetics were going to be, you know, positioned well. I kind of was wondering about the cinematography, and I was kind of wondering about the soundtrack. So what I'll do is I'll talk about like I normally do, which is going to be on non-spoiler. It's going to be complete non-spoiler. I'm going to talk about the visuals. I'm going to be talking about the acting, and I'm going to talk about the actual story in and of itself. But the thing I'm going to say is I think I might actually skip all of that, because this movie, personally for me, and I've never done this, this movie disturbed me to the point that I had to go call my girlfriend. I was like, look, babe, I'm disturbed. I was in a movie like this. And I was like, look, you got to pray for me, because I need to be able to articulate my words in an adequate manner for them to be able to understand that, yes, there are good things about this movie, but the understanding and the lack of comprehension and then just the disturbingness from a general audience standpoint is what kind of makes this movie fall short for me personally, where I was looking for this to be another Drive or another Bronson, okay? So I just want to get that out the way ahead of time. So one of the biggest positives about the movie is the visuals. The cinematography and the visuals are on key. Like, there are uses of lightings and colors and different propositions of characters, specifically Elle Fanning, and the way they position her as the head model and the younger one, and just all these different things that from an artistic standpoint, they really shine. Like, I mean, you see some things that kind of coming up in this, and I was like, oh my gosh, wow, I can't believe they went there. So there are moments in this movie where they are daring enough to show me images of things that I would never think that I would see from in America. I know a lot of foreign films that they really take high risk when it comes to certain images. And this film doesn't shy away from that. Now, the execution of that's where the issue is. But I'm just saying that from a visual perspective, the way they use the cinematography, the way they use the shots, like specifically for the models, it was like, wow. Now, the thing about that is that the images are conducive of how the story is interpreted from your heart and from your head, right? So when I sit there, I was looking at images, I was looking at Elle Fanning. She was in the middle of this like club sequence, and all it was doing was just flashing strobe lights in front of me. And then at the same time, I'm looking at a blurred distortion that's happening in the middle, and then there's this there's this pyramid that's kind of like being shown like in a subliminal way. And I was like, what are you trying to articulate to me? And then the only other times that I'm seeing things in this movie from a visual standpoint, you will see, the spoiler alert, cannibalism. You will see gore. You will see necrophilia. You will see dismemberment. You will see like a lot of uneasiness from a sexual tension kind of standpoint, and it's just like, I don't know, man. I don't, from an art standpoint, I understand it. You go there, you make it your Picasso, but it's like the beginning of the movie with the character and the way they position the character Jessie, which is Elle Fanning's character. I was like, she's acting it well, because the whole entire time I was looking at her and I was like, she is just stealing the show. Like, I don't know how to peg her. I don't know if she's the protagonist or the antagonist. Then you got characters like Jenna Maloney, you got Christina Hendricks, you got Keanu Reeves, and then like the way that they mesh into this, they're just like deranged and sick, a part of this world that this girl is in. The only real character I can definitely say that I was like kind of rooting for it, and I thought it was kind of healthy for her, I forget the boy's name. It's kind of sad. What is the boy's name? I think his name is Dean. It's played by a person by the name of Carl Blusman. At first, I was kind of like, yo, who is this cat? You know, but he ended up, to me, being the only semblance of hope for good things to come for the character Jessie out of everybody. And it's like, I guess from the looking at it from outside in, if you're a model or if you know the world of model, it's probably really vicious and very attacking and very animalistic and very sensual, and very dark and demonic. I mean, that's the reason why the whole movie itself is called The Neon Demon. And so from that standpoint, I guess it makes sense, but it's like the way that they proposition it. You have the character Ellie going through and trying to be a model. You have her trying to push herself out there. You don't know a lot about her backstory, and that mystery in and of itself makes the first act and the second act very plausible and makes you intrigued. That's not necessarily saying the movie is good, but it's making you intrigued to see, can this platform itself to being something great and monumental, and you know. And unfortunately, moving segue into the story, it doesn't. Like, it makes no sense. When you get to the very end of this movie, right, you're gonna be like, okay, so why was that in her apartment? Or why did she meet this person? Or why did this feel like a good thing and then it turned out to be a bad thing? Why is her mind this way, but yet the people around her are obviously something else? And it's like, it's so disturbing and weird and irrational that it takes away from the rarity of the art form that American audiences would look at, and it just displaces it. It's like you're not going to be able to make good, contrived sense from the prospect of what the actual director is trying to convey to the audience. You're not going to be able to really get it. You're going to get certain semblances of certain things, specifically from the other actresses, that from what their motivations were with their connection with Jesse, and even Jesse to a certain extent. But it's like Jesse's story arc just falls flat for me personally. And even with the performance, it was good, but because I couldn't connect with her to understand why. And even everybody else is like, did their actual acting matter? And if it didn't matter, what is actually the point? You know, and a movie can't be necessarily all the time platformed off the acting ability. I'm not saying that. What I'm saying is that for the movie to be able to stand, it has to have resonance. It has to have symbolicism. It has to have understanding. It has to have an implorative entertainment value to it. In the sense that, yeah, I can be like highly entertained, or I can be like, this made sense to my heart, and this was something that I understood the expression of what the director was trying to convey. This just got splattered on the wall like a Jackson Pollock painting. Like, real talk, it was disturbing to my spirit. I came out having my girlfriend to pray for me. I came out of it like disturbed. The things that I saw, I literally was just like this. And that's the thing, like, was it visually amazing? Was it cinematics? Yes, absolutely. Does that make or break a movie? Maybe. Was that making the movie a good movie? I can't say that, unfortunately. I think that I don't even know how to grade this as a number. This is the first time I actually graded it as a letter. I'd probably give this a D-, unfortunately. This is another Only God Forgives kind of moment. I think that I enjoy this better than Only God Forgives, because Only God Forgives, I'd give it a 1 or maybe a 2, if that. Great visuals, but just didn't make any real contrived sense. This, it had prospect for me in the first 2 acts, and then it just was like, what the heck are you doing? Unfortunately, I know y'all never hear me critique a movie negatively like that, but when it comes to art, when it comes to cinematics, when it comes to being a director, when it comes to the notion of having a great ensemble cast and the opportunity, I was looking at the trailers initially thinking that same thing, that this could be great or it could fail if it's moved too much. And it's like, when I looked at the movie draft, there was a really simple arc, but it made balance because you didn't understand the character's background, Ryan Gosling. And it's the same thing that they could have done with Ellie Fanning, but they just didn't go for it, unfortunately. And it's sad to say, this is one of the weaker movies I've seen this year, only because of that. And I can't recommend this to anybody. And it's too dark and too unedifying from a spiritual standpoint for me to recognize that it means something of great monetary value for my spirit. And I don't want to convey that to anybody else in recommending it, unfortunately. So, yeah, that's all I got to say. This is SEL0320 representing JVS. Hopefully you enjoyed that review for The Neon Demon. It just kind of fell flat, y'all. Sorry, y'all. I'll be back for another review. Keep it locked. JVS, we ain't gonna stop. Love y'all. God bless. Peace.